book lovers. Welcome to another episode of Heart-Centered Conversations. It's Jane McDowell again. And today, I'm so pleased to announce I have the wonderful Hetty Kealy with me today. Hetty, tell us all about yourself.
Well, firstly, it's fantastic to be here. Thank you so much, Jane.
You're very welcome.
Fantastic. So my name's Hetty Kealy and I'm head of logistics at Heart Centre Business. And recently, over the last kind of 5 years or so, I've got more and more into reading books, particularly around self-development. So I have read quite a few books over the last few years, and I have got one of those books with me today, Jane.
Fabulous. Which one is it?
So I have brought along with me today a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And it's by someone called Kamal Ravikant.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me, what drew you to this book in the first place, Hetty?
This is a great question. So it was actually someone recommended it to me last year, so it's nearly a year ago. And they recommended, we were going through some training together, and I was going on a bit of a journey around not really loving myself. And so the book was recommended to me, and it's full of all sorts of nuggets to really reconnect. It reconnected me to me, and looking inwardly rather than looking outwardly for that kind of validation. It really took me inwards, which initially was really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because life takes us on this journey where we kind of flip in and out of feeling confident and then not so confident. So was there something that had happened? And I don't know if there was something or if you want to share it. So if you don't want to share it, then that's okay too. But I wondered, was there something that happened that made you have that disconnect with yourself and not love yourself in the way maybe you had previously?
Yeah, I think if I look back in life, look back to childhood. So for me, I was very shy, kept myself small. I've got kind of images of me, holding onto mum's legs or her skirt and really staying close to her. So actually much of my life has been around developing my confidence. Although actually I'd say probably it was when I went into adulthood that I started kind of working through blocks and working through kind of leaning into the lack of confidence in order to make changes and for it to grow and evolve. So I say it was a lot of my life I was aware of my lack of confidence, but actually it wasn't until I've got older that I started really kind of going, okay, come on, this is keeping me small, it's limiting me, let's do something about it. So yes.
Yeah. So I have to ask then, what's changed for you since you read the book?
So one of the activities in the book is, I won't tell you all the activities, I don't want to spoil the book, but one of them is, and they're really simple activities or exercises, let's say, that can be done first thing in the morning. So one of them is looking in the mirror and not looking at your whole body, but just looking at one of your eyes. And initially, it was so uncomfortable, and there was a real disease within me. And actually over time, it got easier and easier. And then I thought, what I kind of, the awe and wonder of humans and who and how we've got here. And looking at my eye, I kind of thought more and more about how incredible it is that we are on this earth, and this kind of loving came back into me that was coming from me rather than me looking for that external loving. So it was a good reminder that you got to go through the disease as in, and the discomfort, that's the one, not uncomfort, the discomfort to get to a place of learning.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So just looking at your one of your eyes made you feel more connected. Did it make you feel, because you mentioned that, oh, how amazing the human body is and how much, how amazing the world is. Did it connect you? Did you get a feeling of connection with the earth, like the planet, or was it different? I'm just curious.
Did I? Well, I kind of feel like I'm connected to nature, and it's a good question. I don't know whether that expanded more to I live in Salisbury, so whether it expanded further than Salisbury and out into the whole world, I don't know. That's a really interesting point to consider.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept that when we see ourselves as part of nature, because I think for me that a lot of humans view themselves as apart from nature. So I'm watching a nature program about nature, as if they're not part of it. And I think sometimes bringing ourselves back to, actually, we are part of the natural world. We've all evolved on the planet along with every other species, that we're all somehow connected, is quite comforting, actually. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So what have you seen as a result of being able to connect yourself and love yourself a bit more? What's been the ripple effect of that?
Good question, Jane. I wanted to add, actually, alongside the exercise, you're repeating to yourself that you love yourself, and that's an important bit to add in.
Kind of like a daily mantra, kind of.
Yeah, and he says, keep going with it, no matter how it feels. So yes. So coming back to you, what have the ripple effects been? So there's more of that feeling of trusting myself. And yes, it goes like this, up and down. However, through things that I've done, I now know that, I guess, each time you step further and further out of your comfort zone, you feel the benefits of the learning and the growing. And so, yes, sometimes I just want to stay and hide and keep small. Oh my goodness, do I? And other times, actually, I'm like, yeah, come on, let's go get them. Let's be more visible. I've definitely found within groups of people speaking up and speaking out has I felt less self-conscious about it. And there's a little bit, don't tell anyone, Jane, there's a little bit of it that I really enjoy.
Oh, who knew?
I know.
Yeah. And so has anything changed in your work life since you've read that book?
Wow, it has, actually. So I stepped into the role of head of logistics at Heart Centre Business in March time this year, which is really exciting, and definitely something that it's the next step up. So it's really exciting to be working in different capacity.
So do you think there's a correlation between you reading that book and absorbing what it's saying, taking that action and feeling better about yourself, that allowed you to then have the courage to step up, or the desire to step up?
Absolutely. There's definitely, all the kind of moment so it was in September last year when I started reading it, and I could feel myself beginning to fly at that point. And it definitely had has had an impact on where I am now. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And where else in your life do you think it's had an impact? Because no change ever is confined to one area, is it? It always,
Yes. So it was soon after that I have been living in Salisbury for about 4 years now, and I've been talking about for quite a long time going to tennis lessons, joining an art class. And it was September, October of last year that I went, right, come on, let's do this. And that has been, particularly the tennis, I've absolutely loved. And it's amazing how much I feel myself, how much my confidence in the tennis, as well as the skills, but actually I think I know a huge part of it was confidence with the tennis has rocketed. So that's really exciting to feel, to again feel those things for myself rather than people telling me.
yeah.
It's that difference of well, people can tell me that I've done really well, but
Yeah.
actually it's about how we all feel it inside. And
That's true. You can be lauded to the highest, but if you don't believe in yourself, it kind of just bounces off, doesn't it? And it goes back to how we are able to take compliments or not able to take compliments, I think. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying how women especially are kind of programmed to, if they hear a compliment, oh, oh, you look great today. Oh, what kind of this old thing, whatever, rather than just, oh, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
That's
definitely something I have noticed that I've changed actually over, and I haven't quite realized that it had changed for me, but definitely accepting compliments.
And just in our ways of thinking as well. I mean, often we might focus on something positive, but immediately after that there's a thought, and also this wasn't so good. I caught myself doing that this morning, actually. Thinking of what was I proud of yesterday? Oh yeah. And also all this, hang on a minute, this isn't what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on what went well. So let's focus on that rather than thinking, and what didn't. I mean, it's great to consider things you can improve on. I'm not suggesting people shouldn't, because that's a way of growing. However, just be able to sit in that positive thought pattern and enjoy it and revel in your successes. It's really important, right?
So important, Jane. I know, with clients we work with, so often they don't zoom out and kind of sit on the moon and look down and take that time to go, what am I proud of? What am I celebrating? And it can be something seemingly really small, and actually it's that compound effect, day after day it's done, and we don't do it enough. So it's a good reminder for us all.
Fabulous. So I have to ask you, what are you reading now?
Oh, wow. It's quite okay. It's a really interesting book. It's called, this is the terrible thing, I'm going to get the title wrong, Earth and Spirit.
Earth and Spirit.
Yes, and it's by Adrian Incledon-Webber and Tim Walter, and it's about meditation and dowsing.
Oh wow!
But it goes through a whole lot of other things. It's really fascinating, and it's kind of world that I'm learning about. Because it's typically, people think of dowsing as in water divining. And actually there's so much in this world that goes on that we don't see. And this book typically is going to more of that. And, so it's definitely, I went on a kind of one-day workshop the other week, and it was around Earth's energies and ley lines. And so it's a whole new opening up of a world that I'm really curious about.
Oh wow. I'd love to know more about that. So they're not talking about dowsing for water. So what else douse for?
Yes, so typically I haven't met Adrian, well, at this 4 years ago or so, Adrian Incledon-Webber, who's the author. So really fascinating. He was an estate agent and he used to go into people's homes and
Hold that against him.
break in. He broke in. And he would, he'd be in these homes on his own, just making sure everything was just, kind of opening up the house before people came around it. And he'd pick up on different energies as he went into homes. And he then moved from being an estate agent into, I don't know what he would specifically call himself, but into clearing homes of energies, detrimental energies.
Oh, yeah.
And so strangely enough, I came across his name I spoke to 2 people within the same week and they both mentioned him. So I got one of his books called Heal Your Home. And I guess it's taken me on a bit of a journey in, open my eyes up to different things. So he typically is going into people's homes and dowsing and clearing homes of energies and geopathic stress. So yeah.
Wow. So I suppose that kind of fits in with, because I know that you're also a practitioner in EFT, aren't you? So
Yes.
kind of tie in nicely with that. Does it have the same kind of ethos and thought patterns around how energies work? And
Yeah, it definitely is. I think EFT was a good starting point, and it's great to be a practitioner and use my skills and expertise within the EFT. I think the dowsing.
Just to say, for anyone who doesn't know what EFT is, it's emotional freedom technique.
Yes, sometimes tapping. And I think that was a great first step into the world of energy therapies. And I recently did something called Quantum Touch, which is about bringing up the life force from the earth and using it through your hands on.
That sounds amazing. Yeah. So where are you reading that book because you want to get more into it, or is it something you're just curious about?
Yeah, I'm reading it. What is my intention of reading it? I am reading it because I'm really curious about finding out about a world that really is within our world, but we don't see it. And I do, on this course, I met someone who lives locally who's, wants to go to kind of sacred sites. And I haven't done a dowsing course. I don't quite feel confident enough, there's that word, to go and douse at a site on my own. So actually I'm going to team up with this person and we're going to go together to a site, which there are quite a few locally in Wiltshire, which would be really
nice. Wiltshire's a fantastic place, isn't it? You've got Stonehenge, you've got Avebury, and like, what's the place with the horse on the hill? I remember the name.
No, White Horse, the chalk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things, aren't there? Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. You'll have to keep me posted on what happens. I find this
I will do.
Totally fascinating. Yeah.
And actually within the book they talk a lot about meditation and the importance of meditation, and I've ummed and ahed for years around meditation, and so it's great to be having an insight into all the rationale behind why one meditates.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say that I have tried meditating, but my mind just always wanders off. So for me, I find walking in nature, in
Yes.
trees especially, is my way of letting go of all those thoughts and communing with the trees. So yeah,
Do you talk to the trees?
I do. I got caught a few weeks ago hugging a tree. Um, and the woman who found me hugging a tree said, "What a very wise woman you are." I said, "Yeah, I am actually."
Great.
Just own it. Like, yeah, yeah. And I've got a favorite tree that I visit most mornings on my walk. Beautiful oak tree. Um, Trees are really important. I remember when my dad was really ill with cancer, and life was understandably very difficult, and going to work and doing everyday things was really quite challenging. And I'd walk across Highbury Fields in London every day on my way to the tube, and there was two really young oak trees, and I used to stop and put my hand on them and just draw strength from them to get through the day. So yeah, yeah, I just yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, the power of all beings in nature is
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
I think it's often having awareness of of how trees and plants can help us as much as how we can help them. I do hear that they like people talking to them and touching them and saying things. So
yeah. There's even evidence to show that they can hear things.
oh, Jane, did you read that in a book or?
I did. Yeah, yeah. And if anyone's curious to know more about trees, there is a fantastic book. The name of the author has escaped me right now, but it's The Hidden Life of Trees. And I listened to the book initially, I couldn't remember being as happy as I was when I was listening to that book. I was just filled with joy. It was a real game changer. And even as someone who's always been really fond of trees and loved trees, it made me look at trees in a whole other way. It was really, really quite something. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I have that book on my bookshelf, which I haven't read yet. So
How long
Jane,
has it been there, Hetty?
has been there for quite a long time. However,
Yeah,
I often think when people mention a book or something, get on and read it. So that
yeah,
could well be the next book that I read.
yeah. It sounds like it would fit in nicely with the book you're reading right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
wow, Hetty, I could just stand here all day talking to you about these books. However, I know that, people have to carry on with their lives. Thanks for watching, everybody. It's been an absolute delight. I'll see you all in the next episode. And Hetty, thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest.
Oh, well, thank you, Jane. It's been fabulous to be here.
Take care. See you soon.
Bye.